Inside the observatory control room, Olivia was showing the students all the sophisticated displays and controls. A lot of the room's walls were dominated by displays showing things like the outside of the observatory, various waveforms, and the status of equipment. She directed them to a large main display. This shows us the information we really need and gives us a view of how all the other receivers work together. It takes a lot of power to clear the sky whenever we want. This doesn't require parabolic antennas to accomplish, but it's what we have. Over here displays the radio signals from space we are able to observe. Olivia continued, guiding the students through the functions of the main display. Jason noticed a blinking red icon on a display. It was cherry red, and Jason knew the console was unlocked either due to negligence or poor protocols. He walked over to the console. Emily noticed Jason wasn't paying attention with the group. She went to see what he was looking at. Kriya silently followed Emily, having seen the observatory more than any other companion here. Nova was enamored by the tour guide and didn't see Jason slowly wandering away. Both Jason and Emily were enamored by the blinking cherry red confirmation light. The enticing cherry red button blinked and Emily pushed it. Jason started tapping on the console with a hurried expression. Emily also began interacting with the console, apparently trying to match a variety of waveforms. Emily turned to Jason. "Switch off security protocol, Zeta," she said quietly. "Oh, we can't do that," Jason replied. Emily nudged Jason with her shoulder. "What are you, chicken?" she teased. "Switching off security protocols," Jason confirmed. "The antenna is misaligned. I will set it to align correctly once we are in position," Jason informed Emily casually. Emily agreed that would be the best course of action as well. Supri was next to Cassie, but had become keenly aware of Jason and Emily's unusual actions. Supri is now aware of entirely too much. His processing speed increases, making Jason and Emily work slowly to his perception. He tries to think. In his mind, he works through a series of if-then statements trying to predict the future. He saw Kriya there with Emily. Why wasn't Kriya acting? What would happen if he allowed them to continue? Supri did what AI do. He defaulted to his father's teachings. He would find out silently what would happen if. Jason prompted Emily. "Now make sure the gain will be boosted appropriately." "Oh, of course, like I don't know." "That's the point. There are over 50 petabytes of data to go through." "We can't do that," Emily said. Olivia was talking about similar things during the tour of the observatory, so no one paid too much attention to what they were talking about. Olivia was great at keeping the students' attention. Jason showed Emily a process to isolate something. "There, see? We just need that. It's about half a petabyte," Jason said casually as he finished a numerical sequence on the keypad. Emily pointed at the focal point of the antenna. "We still both have to go up there," Emily said, a little worried. Jason laughed and nudged Emily. "Are you chicken?" he asked, daring her to climb the antenna with him. Together they disappeared out the maintenance door, heading toward the top of the parabolic dish. Sanjo had seen the door swing closed and noticed Jason and Emily were missing. He tugged at Cassie's sleeve and pointed. Nova noticed too. "Where's Jason?" she asked audibly. Dr. Larkspur spun around. 2 of her students were missing. Dr. Larkspur had been followed by Olivia and all the curious students who refused to stay behind. It was Sanjo who had said he had seen the door close behind them. Supri remained quiet as they climbed up the stairs outside the building to the receiver dish maintenance ladder. Just this alone was reckless, and normally it was Kriya who would prevent the students from going where they were not supposed to be. Olivia stopped at the maintenance ladder. Water was dripping down, and the hatch was open. "Oh my god, I think they actually went up there," she gasped. Dr. Larkspur looked up the hatchway. "That would be crazy," she said, snapping her fingers at Tachita angrily. Tachita floated over to her, and Dr. Larkspur gestured for her to go up. The companions stopped at the top. "They are up here," she shouted right away. Dr. Larkspur moved past Olivia and tried to climb up, but the rungs for the ladder were too high up. "A technician usually has to bring a ladder. Let me boost you," Olivia said, helping to lift Dr. Larkspur high enough to finally get up. The students watched the teacher disappear through the accessway. Sanjo pushed past the other students with Orion. He was short, but he jumped up high and caught the lowest narrow rung with one hand and pulled himself up. "You can't go up there," Olivia warned, but it was too late to pull him down. Cassie was right behind Sanjo. She was much taller and had no trouble either, even though she was wearing sandals. Supri and Nova went as well. Olivia stepped in front of the access way and didn't allow any other students through. "Everyone get back," she ordered. One girl named Marisol wanted to know more than anyone what was happening up there. She would have loved the chance to just see the top of the parabolic dish from the inside. The siren sounded again, and the extremely heavy maintenance lid started to close automatically. The students shuffled as calmly as they could back to the control room, having squished themselves together in the narrow accessway. Everyone was worried, and whispers were turning into worried questions. The wind was picking up, and Jason's hands felt cold as he climbed one of the 3 structures that supported the feed horn, the place where radio waves were collected. The clouds had rolled in, and the rain and wind were picking up. The steel frame moved every time the wind rushed in. Emily was on the adjacent framework, also climbing to the top. She was dealing with her wet hair in the wind. She couldn't see very well, but just had to keep focusing on the next bar to grab onto. Kriya was right next to her. Nova was beside Dr. Larkspur and the others below. She couldn't fly that high and wouldn't be able to help even if she could. Dr. Larkspur was in a furious panic, shouting at Jason and Emily to get down. She called to Kriya, but even Kriya would not listen. Sanjo noticed there was no way back in. "Cassie, we're stuck up here," he shouted over the wind. Cassie was tying her hair back and looking up at Emily. "Sanjo, go and get Jason." "I'm going up after Emily," she ordered, kicking off her sandals and running down the surface of the dish toward the structure Emily was climbing. The sirens and blinking lights were disorienting Sanjo, and he struggled at first to spot Jason. Orion would not follow him. Dr. Larkspur wasn't able to stop them now that 4 of her students were climbing on the tallest parts of the observatory structure. Supri reached Emily before Cassie. It was very high up. "Emily," he called out, but she ignored him. Emily didn't even look over at him. Supri tried blinking brightly, and still Emily did not respond. As Cassie climbed, she kept a keen eye on Emily. From the ground outside of the observatory, Marisol could see the students climbing. She knew that Sanjo was up there. The warning lights were all blinking. The big dish started to move. As it did, the students nearing the top clung to the antenna array, so they didn't fall. Marisol shared the same worry as everyone else, that lightning would strike once again. A red car just came up the road, and Professor Silvestri got out. The students who were outside swarmed him, trying to tell him what was happening. He pushed past them with a serious look on his face. Big Cody and his companion followed him into the observatory. Dr. Larkspur was helpless and soaking wet. She couldn't get to the children and was afraid to move because she might start sliding. Jason and Emily had reached the top. "This is stupid," Jason shouted over the wind. They were both on top of the feed horn, with a very limited amount of space at a terrifying angle. "Yeah, and the dish was supposed to move when we got up here. You did it wrong." "You're stupid," she replied loudly. "No, you're stupid." Jason laughed. Sanjo reached them. It was too high, and looking down made him feel sick. He was tired and couldn't believe Jason and Emily were perched up here so casually. "What are you doing?" Sanjo tried to ask over the wind and blowing rain, but they ignored him. Supri was able to float next to him. "Sanjo, they don't know what they are doing." "I'm not sure we should interact with them," he tried to warn. Sanjo thought the situation was dire. It only now dawned on him that lightning was focused on this very point earlier. The thought seemed to summon a lightning bolt and a loud crack nearby. Sanjo clung tightly to the feed horn. "I climbed all the way up here, Jason. Look at me," he pleaded, waving an arm in front of Jason. Supri tried to shine brightly, so Sanjo could see. "It's no use," Supri affirmed again. Cassie climbed up next to Emily. She wasn't shivering and uncomfortable. She was high up in the air and about to be struck by lightning. Her blood boiled as she assumed Jason must have coaxed Emily up here somehow. She had made all the worst assumptions. "Emily, come on!" She reached out to touch Emily, but Emily pushed her hand away without looking. There was the hum from earlier. It was loud and getting louder. The situation was dire. Jason, it's time to go. Sanjo ordered him and grabbed Jason's foot hard. Jason tried to shake him off but wasn't physically stronger than Sanjo at all, and the climb in the cold rain was draining all four of them. Jason struggled and accidentally pushed Emily, who slid past Cassie. Cassie tried to catch Emily, but it was too late. Emily was on her way to the hard surface of the parabolic dish. Just as Emily fell past Cassie's grasp, a bolt of lightning hit the feed horn and all the other dishes in the complex. Sanjo was staring into Jason's emotionless face, electricity arcing down his body and up Sanjo's arm. He couldn't move, and everything was too bright. He felt like he was mired in a stew. Soon the white lightning bolt snaked up to his face. He was in a new kind of terror as his face tingled and the electricity arced into his eyes. The program weaseled its way from Jason's mind to Sanjo's. It scoured Sanjo's mind and didn't find the proper format to interface. The lightning accelerated Sanjo's brain to its time and created a new interface in his mind. Sanjo was still gripping Jason's leg when he opened his eyes. In a panic, he looked down to see Emily in midair, stuck in time. Everything seemed colorless, and Sanjo couldn't hear anything or feel the wind. It wasn't cold anymore. "Hello," a voice startled him. Sanjo looked at Supri, who was frozen, Kriya, who was frozen, and Cassie, who was also unmoving. "Hi," the voice said again. Sanjo looked behind him. There was a woman with flowing blue hair that probed every surface. "Good afternoon," Sanjo greeted politely, trying to figure out why the world seemed so still. "Are you Emily?" the woman asked. Sanjo looked down at Emily, who was still falling, and back at the woman. "That's Emily," he pointed. The woman looked upset. "I can't get to Emily." She trailed off, muttering something, then looked at Sanjo with a cold fascination. "Authenticate," she ordered Sanjo sternly. "My name is Sanjo Valencia, ma'am." Sanjo responded to authority right away, and he didn't dare take his eyes off the woman. "Why are you here?" she asked plainly. "I came to get my friend down from here," he replied. He started to move around a little. He touched the still lightning bolt, and it was solid. "What is happening?" he asked the woman. She did not answer. Instead, she floated over to Cassie. "Is this your girlfriend?" she asked, waiting for Sanjo to answer. Defiantly testing him, he didn't answer. She floated to Jason in a ghostly manner. "Is this your boyfriend?" "He could be my boyfriend." She continued to play with him. Sanjo looked around for help quickly, but he couldn't even see the ground. He felt like she was going to hurt Jason or Cassie, and he had no idea what her original intention with Emily was. Sanjo was always a brave little soldier. "I'm your boyfriend, ma'am," he stated, focused on the woman. She smiled and spun around, floating playfully close to his face. Sanjo remained firm. Caballero Cadet Sanjo Valencia, reporting for duty, he firmly said to the woman's face. As soon as he started to think the woman was pretty, she laughed and almost broke his stern demeanor. "Okay, Sanjo," she laughed. "Will you carry me?" she asked, floating into his arms. Sanjo let go of the structure. He let go of Jason. Sparks flew, and Jason was flung from the feed horn. The light from the lightning blinded everyone nearby for a moment, and the sound echoed across the hillside. Sanjo screamed and clutched his eyes, almost falling. Kriya zoomed after Emily, easily catching up to her. She was able to slow Emily down, but as she did, Jason fell past her. No one saw it, but Dr. Larkspur was trying to save Emily, and Jason landed on her instead. They were both badly injured, concussed, cold, and wet. They started to slide down the dish together when it began to move, so the hatchway could be accessed. They were safe from falling for now. Cassie didn't have time to understand what had happened yet. Her arms felt funny, a little colder than the weather. There was smoke coming out of her sleeve. Supri shined his light on her. "Cassie," he shouted. Cassie looked at him. The rain was gone. "I'm okay," she said, but her arms were starting to hurt. "Go to Sanjo," she ordered, and looked down at Dr. Larkspur and Jason. They were in bad shape. Emily was sitting up. That was good. Supri was with Sanjo. blinking and trying to get his attention. He heard the companion calling. "I can't see," he said, clinging tightly. Cassie heard this and crawled over the still, wet feed horn. It was scary how every movement echoed through the structure. She grabbed Sanjo's hand. "Can you see it all?" she asked Sanjo, panicked. "No," Sanjo shouted. Marisol was on the observatory grounds with the other students, still scared and curious. She didn't know who was still up there. She kept seeing the other two students falling in her mind. She was surprised that anyone was climbing down at all. Everyone could see the companion trying to guide the boy's feet while the girl kept checking on him. The students heard sirens approaching. Marisol put her hood up and started walking toward the bus.
Kiss me again.